demonic presence all over me. Every hair on the back of my neck stood up. I couldn't move. I tried to say in the name of Jesus, but I couldn't get it out. It had my voice just clenched. I tried to get up and deal with it, but I couldn't get myself off the bed. And all I could do is just, and my wife just, does a little elbow because she's thinking I'm having some kind of bad dream, but I wasn't dreaming. I felt the weight of it on my stomach, and I felt it breathing on my neck. And woke up, and finally, after she bumped me, I was so mad that something so demonic, something totally opposite of the holiness of God can walk in my house, sit on my stomach, and try to intimidate me. And I'm gonna tell you, it ruined my week in a good way, because I'm feeling an aggravation, but it's turning into a frustration and an aggravation, but the Lord's allowing it to turn into just a major offensive move for us. Because I told my wife, I said, there is some things getting ready to change in our house. I tell you, I about slung the TV out in the middle of the road the next day. I said, there's no way that something this demonic has any right to come up in our house. I read in the Bible where men like Cornelius had angelic visitations. Certain apostles would get visited by angelic and heavenly hosts. These are the visitations that should be coming into our home. Nothing demonic should have any right legally to come into our house. And so I know that we are doing something right in a sense of being offensive and plowing ground right now. We're digging a well. It's nice to come into a place where the well's already dug tonight and you could drink freely, nice and easy, and you don't have people that you're trying to struggle to get to worship. But everybody here, come on, you know a little bit about that, Pastor Claude. You're trying to get people to the place that you want them so that the heavens could be open in your meetings. And we've been at a place of it's just, we're pounding on hearts and doing everything that we can to get people to understand the importance of worship. And so we're offensive, but the enemy's offensive. But also what the Lord is beginning to show me in this past week and the weeks before is that there's another spirit that we're beginning to deal with that is not as offensive, but it's so seductive, it's so manipulative, it seduces its way into the average Christian's home, and it's called the spirit of this age. And the Lord began to show me how to deal with this, and even where it's getting root in my own life and beginning to teach me how to uproot it in certain ways and deal with it so that we can walk in the freedom that Christ wants us to walk in the earth, and so that no legal access from the enemy has any right to come into your home or into your lives in any manner or any manifest presence or form. So this evening, I believe who's here needs to be here to hear this, because I believe that this message is applicable to everyone in this room. It came to me very, very hard and very stern this week. And again, some things did get rearranged in my house when the Lord began to show me this message. The TV didn't go out on the side of the road, but it went out of the living room. The Lord said, Chris, your living room is not centered around me. As a matter of fact, your life hasn't even been centered around me. You think it is because you're doing the work of the Lord and you're planting a church, but your life is still not centered around me. And I'm shocked, saying, how, Lord? He said, well, just look at your life. Look at your living room, for example. Your living room is set up in such a way that it's not centered around me. It's centered around so you could watch your Florida Gators play every Saturday and your Sunday football team. It's not centered around me. Now, I'm not saying TV's evil. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not preaching to go home and throw your TV away at all, by any means. I want to tell you tonight that there's a spirit that's seductive. It's called the spirit of this age, and it will use and seduce anything it can to disalign your heart from the Lord's heart. So we're going to talk about how to overcome this tonight by a burning, passionate heart after the Lord. Most of us, when we think of the spirit realm and the demonic, the first thought that comes to our mind is some big, bad, ugly devil with horns and gruesome, offensive. That's the first thought that I think of when we think of Satan and his kingdom and his army and principalities and powers. Now, these are true. These are real things. They are big and they're ugly and they're nasty, and we've got to deal with them and we've got to confront them sometimes. But there's a warfare right now that I believe that if we are not careful, we can think in a sense that we've arrived to a certain place and allow our hearts to get disaligned. And this spirit that is not as offensive, its goal is not to confront you in a way where you know it's confronting you. Its main goal is to confront you in a way where you have no idea it's even seducing you or eating out underneath the foundation of what you're standing on, which is Christ in us, the hope of glory. It's so seductive and deceptive that most of us miss it when it's in our face and knocking at our door. It's the spirit of this age. What does it look like? Doesn't manifest itself like others. The main objective of the spirit of this age is to disalign your heart from the Lord's heart. It has no care in the world if you come to church every Sunday. As a matter of fact, it wants you to come to church every Sunday. It wants you to be on the front row. It wants you to have the biggest smile on your face when you're here. But it wants to make sure that your heart is nowhere engaged in worship. It wants your mind thinking about work and family and resources and money. It wants you thinking about bills and all the worries and problems you have in your life. It wants you here, but it doesn't want you here. It wants you here in body, but it doesn't want you here in spirit. Because it knows that if it can get you here in body, but not here in spirit, you're looking the part, having a form of godliness, but have no power thereof. The spirit of this age does not care if you're a church member. As a matter of fact, it wants you to be a church member. Because to be a member of something, you just have to sign your name to be a piece of paper to be a member. To remove yourself from membership, you take your name off a piece of paper. Has no care in the world about you being a member of a church. What it doesn't want you is a member of a body. To be a member of a body, you have to be connected to the source of blood. To remove yourself as a member of a body, you have to disconnect yourself from the flow of blood, and you have the potential to cause your body to die or the part that's cut off to die. It doesn't care if you're a member. It doesn't want you a part of the body. It doesn't want you actively functioning in your calling and gifting in the flow and the will of God. It wants you disengaged from everything that God has for your life. How does it do this? Well, when God gave me this, I began just to look at my own life. Lord, show me, God, how this is manifesting in my life. And so the Lord showed me some personal things. One of them was the television. A few of them are things that I've begun to put before the Lord in certain areas. Even though I'm faithful every Sunday, even though we're pastoring a church and experiencing some great fruit, even though we're leading people to Jesus every single week, but yet God's still not being put first in our lives. And the Lord showed me this. And He said, Chris, there's some things that you need to rearrange in your life so that I can have full glory and full measure in your life. To disalign your hearts from the Lord, He wants to put other things first: entertainment, sports, work, money, family, husband, wife, children. When I began to sit down and talk to my wife about this week, and such aggravation and frustration that we've allowed ourselves to blindly get to this point, we both kind of were just so frustrated and wept a little bit and realized that there's certain things that each of us are putting before our relationship with the Lord that has to be dealt with in this season. If you will, turn to Romans 12:2 with me. And forgive me for the passion that I'm and the tone of my voice. I've just been very, very, extremely aggravated. Not a fleshly aggravation. Let me just reinstate that again. Just a burning, holy aggravation, frustration. And it's good to get like that, I believe, sometimes. Because I was going to come give you an awesome message about how to just soak in the glory and God is going to touch you and send you home. And that would have been cool too, but I believe the Lord wants to shine some light on our personal lives today. Get us back to the place that God really wants us. You know that this is an apostolic company? This is you know that this house is so blessed. When I spent a year here, we had been in ministry before, and we've got in this house some of the nation's top sought-after voices that come right through this place. And we get some of the best, most incredible words. We get prophetic messages. We get all the ministry. We're in a real apostolic company here. But, and I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but